Hi everybody. This video is intended to show you my method of taking an image file and pulling that into something that we can add on to a 3D model and 3D print it. So I know there's a few websites that will convert. Here's an example of one, and you can try to play around with it if you want. I've always struggled to get quite what I'm looking for, but essentially we're converting a image file to an SVG. So an SVG we can pull into Bambu Studio and we can modify it. So let me just walk you through my process. And what we want to do is first find an image online. And again, these are trademarked images, so don't sell these or do anything like that. But here's my Lego image that I found. And if you just right click over the image, save image as, and I'm going to go Lego PNG. And that is now saved to my computer. I use software because I also have an Xtool laser. Xtool has software to control their lasers called Xtool Creative Space. So you can download this for free. I don't think you even need one of their lasers to do it. This, in my opinion, does a really good job of taking those image files and allows you to convert them to SVG files. Because often that's what we want to use when we make some laser engraving. So I'm just going to import, so Command I, import my Lego PNG, and it's pretty big, so I'm going to scale it so it'll fit on my canvas here. It probably doesn't really matter. There we go, so it's pretty big. I'm going to shrink it down a little bit and just pull it over here. Again, an image file is not great to 3D print. So if I sort of zoom in here, it's what we have is sort of this pixelated image, right? So every pixel gets some amount of color, and it's not what we want. So I'm going to zoom back out here, and we want to convert this into an SVG, which is lines and circles and arcs. Okay, so let's do that. So it's pretty simple in this software. Here are our editing tools. Enhance you can use to make, I think it makes it a little bit crisper of an image. But I'd say just jump right in and see if you can do the trace tool. This is what does our tracing. It turns our SVG, our PNG, our image file into a vector file. So a vector file you can see is sort of outlined. If you, let's zoom in here. It sort of followed that image and created vectors around it. So the vectors are those lines. And that allows us to create our 3D objects. So there's a few things you can play around with here. So maybe if your file doesn't work quite right, you can change the fuzziness, right? It's, you know, the denoising, I'm not quite sure what that means, and then the smoothness. The smoothness is like how sort of big those arcs are. For me, this looks good like right away, just on the default setting. So I'm going to hit save and drag that over, and that immediately we're allowed to see what that looks like. So that's not, we're almost done. So what I want to do is take this. Right now it's just the vectors, but if we click on engrave, it'll fill those in with colors that sort of match. Okay. So if I just select this and right click and export to SVG, I'm going to call that Lego version 1 SVG, and I'll show you there's only one thing not quite right about this. Actually, before I do that, yeah, that's fine. I'll just show you what that looks like if I pull it into Bambu Studio. So here I have, this is my nameplate, and it's Bill Johnson, toy designer. Just going to add another plate here, and we're going to import Lego version 1 SVG just so you can see what it looks like. It pulls it in all as one color, and then we can just go through and add the colors here. However, you notice right away that the white, it doesn't do the white. So I'm going to show you a little trick to get the white. But if we just go through all of these objects, we can change their color. So maybe we want that one to be black, you know, etc., etc. So, and there's kind of our Lego, right? Except for we don't have the white, and we don't need this outer background. So that's not quite right. So I'm going to go back to my Xtool Creative Space, and show you one thing that I think can sort of fix this problem. One, I'm going to select everything and I'm going to ungroup it and then start deleting a few things. We don't need the outer. We don't need that one either. So that's really what we want, because we're going to place this on a red background. Okay, except we don't have the white. So here's the little trick to do that. Go to your image, and we're going to adjust that image, and we're just going to invert it. So every color gets flipped around. And now we can do it again. We can trace, because now we want those letters. So we're going to bring the letters in here too. Again, the color doesn't matter, because once we're in Bambu Studio, we can select those colors. So trace it. Make sure it's the exact same size. Save. And then I'm going to drag this over here for now. Hit engrave. Ungroup, because of what again, I just want the letters. I just want those into the right spot. So I'm going to ungroup. Delete the portions. Okay, and then select group, and we're gonna bring those and try to align it. I think that looks pretty good. So now, again, don't worry about the colors. We have black on black, doesn't matter now. Let's group this. Okay, so now we got it grouped. Now I'm gonna save it again. Export as SVG Lego V2, and now we'll pull it into Bambu Studio, and I'll show you now. Lego V2 is what we want. Okay, so now we want to color it appropriately, and can't remember the colors, so white, black, yellow in that order. Okay, so here we go. So whoops. Into Bambu Studio, and if I just go through, so white, I think that should be black, and I just pick the colors. So the letters should be, why is it not? Yellow, let's see, yellow is 2, these are white, which is 3, and I think I missed 1, that should be black, 4. Okay, so there's our Lego. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to put this there. Okay, so we got to do some flipping around. So one thing is sort of upside down, because it's going to print, face down. So we want to rotate this. Again, spinning, if you can imagine, the green is spinning 180 degrees. Okay, and we definitely want to make it smaller, but maybe we can even make it. And now I can look from underneath, and we can imagine what this is going to start to look like. I'm going to pull this over here and work on this plate now, and you can see it's too tall. We'll adjust that here in a second. So now I got logo on there, and here's what we want to do to make sure we get the right thickness. When we scale this, make sure it's uniform scale, and the thickness here, the Z thickness, make sure it's at least 0.4, 0.4 or 0.6. So 0.4 would be like 2 layers. Whoops, I did uniform, so let me undo that. And we want to not have uniform scale, sorry, not uniform. We're only adjusting Z, so 0.4. That's 2 layers. Okay, so that looks kind of cool. So Lego, there's Bill Johnson, he's a toy designer. Okay, and that's all onto this one plate over here. And if I slice it, I think we're going to get an error. I'll show you why. So I get a warning, overlapping stuff. So here's the little trick to that. So select your 2 assemblies, so this assembly and this one, and we merge them together. And slice. And something, let's see here. Something's floating, let's see. Okay, this? Is this outside of our boundary? Slice. There we go. Okay. And that's it. So we want to make sure that, you know, first layer looks like that. Okay. I think that looks pretty good. And again, that's how I would do it.